Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to our channel, and thanks for logging on. If you enjoy these videos, please subscribe to our YouTube channel right here on Watchbox Reviews. I'd really appreciate it, and you could also get our watches delivered to your inbox daily. Our best to you, every minute, every watch, right here on Watchbox Reviews. And if you enjoy these watches, see them all, with high-res images, boxes, papers, accessories, and prices on our website, thewatchbox.com. On my wrist, you're looking at the Reverso to own. If you want to own just one icon from Jaeger-LeCoultre, you're a monuments man, you say. You have a Breitling Navitimer, a Rolex Submariner, an Omega Speedmaster Professional Moonwatch. You've got your Patek Philippe 5711 and your Audemars Piguet 15202. You want to buy a Jaeger-LeCoultre. This is the one to own. The Grand Tie case size debuted in 1991 for the 60th anniversary Reverso, and back then, it was considered to be the big Reverso. A modern case, 42.2 millimeters lug to lug by 26 millimeters wide. It's an accommodating 9.7 millimeters thick, and I say accommodating because the flank of the case is so dramatically rounded that any dress cuff will ride up and over it. The Reverso is the icon of Jaeger-LeCoultre, once called the watchmaker's watchmaker because the entire Vallée de Joux and Swiss watch industry generally was dependent on JLC movements. The watch on my wrist does include a manufacturer caliber, a case made by Jaeger-LeCoultre, and a style first coined in 1931 that has become iconic of the brand. You'll also note the watch features a rather standard lug spacing, so if you do want to accessorize, 19 millimeters is the lug spacing. The lugs are drilled rather high, so from an ergonomic standpoint, your frame of reference on my wrist is 16 centimeters. That's the circumference of my wrist. I believe the watch can be worn on a wrist as small as 14 centimeters circumference, and Reversos don't have to be overpowering in their size. In gold, with its iconic near golden ratio proportions, this watch will look just as good on a big and burly wrist. Because the lugs are drilled high, there's a bit of an idiosyncratic fit that's unique to the Reverso, so you're always going to want to try one on, and try before you buy is one of our tenets here at the Watchbox. 7 days, no questions asked return policy for any watch that may be unconventionally sized or shaped. You'll note that the caseback is completely flat, and the lugs have a little bit of an integration about them. The close drilling of the strap enabling the timepiece to look all of a piece, with very little, if any, daylight visible between strap and case. Now the strap is a gloss, minimally bolstered, monotone stitch, folded edge, alligator leather, large rectangular scale on the top, calfskin on the underside with the first generation Jaeger-LeCoultre folding clasp. This was a debut during the 90s. JLC went from pin buckles to their first folding clasp. It had a more distinctly flat profile compared to the second clasp, which was used from the early 2000s to 2005. That one had a fluted channel down the center. This one a little bit more elemental. Beautiful and also reassuring in as much as it prevents accidental droppage while donning or removing at bedside. The case. I mentioned the golden ratio, and the golden ratio is roughly 1 to 1.618, and in terms of the aspect ratio of this case, the width to the lug-to-lug dimension, it is very close, which means there is a sort of mathematical logic underpinning the enduring appeal of the Reverso shape, but there's also a great deal of God in the details, as Mies van der Rohe might have said. As you'll note, the stridently rectilinear geometries of the watch are considerably softened when you view it in profile, a little bit like Fritz Lang's Metropolis. Everything is guidrons and striations and curves and arcs. Very much of its time, the original born in 1931 lends its essential shape and details to the modern watch. 9.7 millimeters thick is admirable, given that, like all Reversos since 1931, this one has a rotating case. Now, back in the day, the case would rotate to reveal a solid metal caseback to protect what was then a true glass crystal from being shattered by the mallets of British polo players in India. Well, this is no longer a sports watch, and the Reverso is no longer expected to withstand blunt trauma blows. So the caseback in the modern era has been leveraged as a platform for a second complication, in this case, a second time display. So this is the Reverso Duo, all adjustments made with the dimple corrector on the side, an independent second time zone on the caseback, stylistically distinct from the more sober front. This is a bit more florid in detail. As you can see, a radial, undulating sort of rose lathe pattern at center with a clou de Paris outboard and sunken sub-registers for hours and minutes superimposed above a 24-hour scale that lets this, the reference time zone, be easily distinguished when you were looking at, for example, 4 in the afternoon or 4 a.m. That's what the 24-hour hand, which is beautifully heat blued, indicates at the foot of the dial. So it is a night-day indication in the literal sense. You'll also note that the hands on the case back are a heavier rose gold, or I should say yellow gold in this case, Dauphine style, with faceting down the center to allow better contrast against the base. And instead of the printed indications that you see on the front, the indices and the tri-numerals 12, 9, and 3 are all applied. The watch is distinctly different in character on both sides, so not just 2 time zones, literally 2 timepieces. 2 watches in one. The watch is powered by a single caliber 854 manual wind on the inside, a manufacturer-shaped movement that is both shaped and sized for this Grand Taille case, as Jaeger-LeCoultre calls it. The 854 is a manual wind 45-hour power reserve that beats away at 21,600 vibrations per hour. It is a 21 joule manual wind, old school JLC shaped movement. In the tradition of the watchmaker's watchmaker that I mentioned at the beginning of the video, JLC makes it all. Creating the design, creating the case, building the movement to fit the case, both in terms of shape and size. This Reverso Grand Taille is the total package. You can see it and make the icon yours on the Watchbox.